This is an unusual story. When Jim Thorpe died, he wanted to be buried in Oklahoma. His body was seized by a family member and the police. He was buried in a town he had never lived in or been to. How did that happen? Jim Thorpe was born on the Sauk and Fox Reservation in Oklahoma. He left for an athletic career. He is considered the greatest athlete of the first half of the 20th century. His beginnings were humble. He was born on the Sauk and Fox Reservation, and he hoped to be buried on that reservation when he passed away. Jim Thorpe had gained fame as a champion football player at the Carlisle Indian School. Thorpe joined the American Olympic team and participated in the 1912 Olympics in Stockholm, Sweden. Here he's pictured receiving his gold medals from the Swedish king Gustav V. He had stunned the world by winning both the pentathlon and the decathlon. Thorpe is widely recognized as a star athlete after 1912. He dominated in the field of track. He also played professional football, helping to establish the NFL, and he was a professional baseball player. The great athlete died in 1953. His funeral was being held in Oklahoma. The grieving family was shocked when Patsy Thorpe, his third wife, arrived. She was accompanied by police, and they took possession of his body. This would be the last time he was in Oklahoma. Imagine how shocking that had to be to his family. The best side of Patsy says that she wanted a memorial for her husband. The worst view of Patsy is that she is also trying to make money off of her husband's body. And then this is a view of Patsy meeting with some town officials. She had her husband's body, but none of her plans seemed to be working out. In Philadelphia, she learned about two towns called Mauch Chunk and East Mauch Chunk. Both were going through hard times. Patsy made these towns an offer. They could have Jim's body if they did the following things. She wanted them to make a memorial about Jim and his athletic accomplishments. And she wanted the two towns to merge and change the name of the town to Jim Thorpe, Pennsylvania. She promised them that Jim Thorpe's grave would be a tourist attraction. Surprisingly, the two towns said yes to Patsy. They agreed to merge and change their name to Jim Thorpe, Pennsylvania. Jim Thorpe had 7 children. Most of them have wanted to get his remains back to the Sauk and Fox Reservation in Oklahoma. Here are pictures of Richard and William. They were the leaders of the family in the fight to get their father back to Oklahoma. Their efforts to get their father's body back have been in the federal courts. The Thorpe family used a federal law that said native artifacts and bones kept in museums had to be returned to the tribes. They argued that the grave site and statues are a kind of museum to their father. A Pennsylvania judge agreed with these arguments. He sided with the family over the city. The city of Jim Thorpe, Pennsylvania, appealed the decision. So the decision from the judge was that Jim Thorpe should be dug up and returned to Pennsylvania. But the appeal is going to slow that process. The legal battle of round 2 takes place. The judges in the appeals courts disagreed with the lower court. They reversed that decision. This meant that Jim's body was to remain in Jim Thorpe, Pennsylvania. The family had one last chance. They hoped that the Supreme Court would get involved, but the Supreme Court chose not to hear this case. Jim Thorpe's body remains in Jim Thorpe, Pennsylvania. The town that is named after him, he never visited that town during his life. Many of his descendants still hope that his body will be returned to Oklahoma. A few of his descendants believe that his body should remain in the town of Jim Thorpe, Pennsylvania. They are very reverential and respectful of the outstanding job that the city has done in honoring their relative and keeping his legacy alive.